Hey, I want to welcome everybody. My name is Mark Dannenberg. I am the founder and CEO of Options Moneymaker, and we're here talking about how to build your personal trading plan. In my opinion, this is one of the most important parts of being a successful trader, and yet it is one of the aspects of trading that is most frequently ignored. So let's go ahead and get started. For those of you who are not familiar with our trading team here at Options Moneymaker, I've been trading for 30 plus years, futures and options, and I created a team about 10 years ago of like-minded individuals who were willing to and had a desire to help other traders really learn their way through building a successful trading business. One of those individuals is Michael Kastner. He's the co-host of our live trading room every day, where the members of our trading community can actually observe trades that are placed live and learn how to identify entry and exit signals. Michael's an expert in options and futures trading, as well as AbleTrend, which is one of the primary software packages that we use to identify our entry and exit signals. He's been trading for about 30 years, as I have, and he just brings a wealth of knowledge to our community of traders, and provide access to that knowledge. It's invaluable. Erin Rumley is also a co-host of our live trading room. She's an expert in our AO entry exit strategy, and she also provides excellent learning opportunities for new and experienced traders through the Profit Builder Plus education program. That's all oriented around options trading. So if you're a brand new options trader, you've been thinking about learning how to trade options, the Profit Builder Plus program, which is taught by Erin, is a great opportunity for you to really get introduced to options trading. Not only the basics of charting, but the basics of spreads and the basics of options, so that you can really have a good foothold in how to trade effectively. And Erin's been trading for about 10 years, so we really have a wealth of experience, knowledge, and expertise in our trading team. I'm pretty proud of our trading team. They're a great group of people. You know, trading can be a very emotional thing. I hear it time and time again from traders. I hear the highs and the lows. Their highs and lows are based on their experience on a daily basis with wins or losses. There's a lot of anxiety that traders tend to carry with them because they think a trade's not working out. They kind of forget everything that they've learned, and they start focusing strictly on emotion. A lot of traders don't really understand how to size risk properly. It's poorly planned, and many times it's an impulse decision. There's a thing I refer to as an emotional impulse, which guides traders into a pattern of inconsistent performance. That emotional impulse is something such as, you know, it's Wednesday morning, and the last 2 weeks I've just had a great 2 weeks, and so I decide today that I'm going to triple my trade size, because if one contract of a futures trade was working well, why wouldn't I trade 3 contracts and do just as well? Well, that's a recipe for disaster, frankly, taking that type of approach. Those emotional impulses that are oftentimes made, those impulsive decisions are made within the trading window, the time frame that you're trading, and they're not well thought out, and they're not connected to other aspects of having a well thought out plan. You've heard me, those of you who have been with us in our community for a while, have heard me frequently talk about trading as a business. Most businesses would not have those types of impulsive decisions. They have a 12-month plan, they have a 12-month forecast, they have something that is guiding them to achieve their goal, and they're going to stay within the framework of those guidelines so that they can actually be successful. Impulsive decisions within that framework, or pushing you outside of that framework, will oftentimes spell trouble. So when it comes to increasing the size of your trade, how many contracts to trade, when it comes to futures trades in particular, it's important to have some sort of a plan, some sort of a goal. And then surprisingly, most traders that I've encountered, and this is a bit of a generalization, but most don't really have a growth goal, trading without a plan. When it comes to futures trading, I hear a lot of traders who are trading the NASDAQ 100 futures along with us in our live trading room every day say, I want to make $100 a day. I want to make $200 a day. That's a very, very short-term goal, very short-term focus. And there is more information that is required to think about in order to actually achieve some level of success that will result ultimately in that level of performance. No trader will ever achieve a consistent pattern of profitability on a daily basis at a specific level. There are going to be some days that are higher, some days that are lower. There are going to be some losing days. But it ought to be all built into the context of some sort of a well thought out, well designed plan. So what we've done is we've put our heads together and we've created the personal trading plan. Now this was created as a tool to support your trading business. This is a comprehensive tool which will allow you to evaluate what your own personal risk tolerance is, what your own personal goals are, and it will allow you to stay on track towards achieving your goal. And I'm going to show you exactly why that's the case here in just a minute. So the personal trading plan is going to provide guidance for your trading business. You're going to use it to create a forecast. You're going to apply realistic variables. This is a personal trading plan. This is not a trading plan that I've created or Aaron or Michael has created that we are now saying this is what you should follow. This is a very personal trading plan, and it's going to be based on realistic variables based on what you believe you can earn, what you believe your win-loss ratio is on a regular basis. It's going to help you monitor progress towards your goal. And you're going to see, I'm going to tell you this here, and I'm going to emphasize it when I show you the trading plan worksheet, but you're going to see how if you're having a challenging day, which every trader does, and you're scratching your head, what should I do? What did I do wrong? This doesn't feel very good. It's that emotional roller coaster that so many traders are on. You will be able to look at your trading plan, personal trading plan, and you'll be able to evaluate where you are at that point in the day with perhaps a losing day, and where does that fit into your long-term goal. And what you're going to see, what you're going to realize by using a well-designed, comprehensive personal trading plan is that a periodic losing day here or there, or periodic losing trade here or there, is not going to dramatically impact your overall outcome. Now just let that sink in for a minute, because we have far too many traders who will say, oh, I did so well last week, and this week, I'm off to such a bad start. Or, I hear all sorts of dramatic explanations like it was a bloodbath or it was horrible. Those folks are nothing more than emotional, impulsive reactions to something going on. And you are not fitting it into the context of a well-designed, comprehensive plan. So that's what we're here for, is to talk about building a personal trading plan. I would love to know that I could help each of you quiet the emotional side of trading, because you're going to be able to see each day how you are progressing. And maybe you don't hit your exact goal, but if you're close to your goal, or you're on pace to hit a target that would satisfy you at the end of 12 months, then you can quiet that emotional side of trading and be at peace and just continue to trade. Now, if there are challenges with your trading, there are ways to change that. What I mean is, if you're having a lower degree of success than you want to, the trading plan itself is not going to fix that. But participating in our live trading room and some of the training courses that we offer on futures and options will help you get on the right track. Losses are a reality. You all know that if you're a realistic trader. Losses are a reality, but they interfere with peace of mind. So the personal trading plan is going to show you how those losses fit into your goal. We basically created this personal trading plan tool for ourselves, as well as to help you plan and build your trading business. So at this point, I want to flip over to the trading plan. And I'm going to go through a few fields for you here and share with you the way this is designed. Now, we've tried to make it relatively simple, and with the exception of this field over here, everything that's in bold is a variable that you will enter. This is designing your personal trading plan. So let me start with this. What is the starting balance of your trading account? Now, right now, folks, I'm focused on futures trading. This is specifically designed for futures trading. A little bit later, Aaron's going to walk you through the options trading plan that we've built also. And then before I get started here, there's a description of each field that you will enter. Any place that you have a variable that you can enter or action that you can take is actually described in the Futures Description tab. So you enter what your starting balance is. Now, I think for futures trading, $5,000 is a very reasonable starting balance. Some people like to start with more. Some people like to start with tens of thousands of dollars. Some people start with less. But whatever it is, it's personal to you. And it should be based on what your own personal risk tolerance is. How much are you willing to allocate to your futures trading business? So that's number one. Number two, of that $5,000 or whatever amount you enter, how much, what percentage of it are you willing to allocate to contracts? So a contract with Infinity Futures, which is where we trade, requires $500 of margin. So if I'm going to trade 10% of my $5,000 account balance, I will be able to trade one contract. 10% of 5,000 is 500. And so what the worksheet trading plan tool is doing for you is it's calculating how many contracts to trade based on your willingness to trade 10% of your account balance. Now, if you have a higher account balance, then that number will change. If you change 10 to, say, 25%, because that's your personal risk tolerance, you're going to see that the number of contracts that you'll be trading will be 2, because 25% of $5,000 is $1,250. And so that would give you enough to trade 2 contracts. Not enough to trade 3, but it would be enough to trade 2. So I want to put this back at 10 for right now. We'll come along later after I explain each of these fields, and we'll share with you some variables. We'll show you some what-if scenarios. Now, this field here is 500 per contract, because many of you trade at different brokerage firms, and different brokerage firms have different margin requirements for futures trading. We are setting this up so that you can insert that as a variable. If you're trading at a brokerage firm such as Infinity Futures, which is what we do, the $500 margin that's required per contract for a NDX futures contract or a SPX futures contract, that's what that's set at. If you happen to be trading at a different brokerage firm and it requires $1,500 per contract, you would put that in there. But this is all integrated so that you can use these tools to help you decide, well, how many contracts should I be trading based on what I've decided before market, outside of market hours, what my personal risk tolerance is. And then this 25 points over here, in the Infinity platform, Infinity Futures platform, there's a feature called a daily risk limit. And it's essentially a black swan, fail-safe limit that says if something dramatic happened and there was a sudden and abrupt movement of the market and you hit a particular loss number, they basically shut down your trading for the day, and you have to take action in order to reactivate it for that day. So we put a fail-safe out there. Infinity has that fail-safe, but it's important to think about that in advance and think about it relative to your total account balance. So in this example, I've got it set at 25 points. 25 points equates to $500, which for me, if I was trading a $5,000 account, would be equivalent to 10% of my initial account balance. And of course, that will decrease as the account value increases. So that can change on a day-to-day basis, but that's a number that you ought to be thinking about well ahead of your overall trading before you really start trading. So then we really get into the meat of the whole trading plan. Right here is a number that says as your account grows, you want to limit the total number of contracts that you trade to this number. So the way it's set right now, the default that it's set to, if you choose to make use of the trading plan, is 10 contracts. So you can see here that if we were to have started Monday of this week, we'd be trading one contract, and it's not actually out until September that we get to 2 contracts, and then we go back to 1, and I'll explain that in just a minute, until you finally get to a point where you're trading 2 contracts, then it grows to 3, to 4, to 5, and it continues to increase. But it's increasing based on this 10% of your account. So as your account is growing, you're willing to allocate 10% of your total account balance to contracts, and the trading plan is calculating for you how many contracts that is. So what you're doing is you're growing your account. You're growing in a way that you have a proportionate percentage of your total account value allocated to contracts. That's your initial risk. And it's telling you how many contracts to trade. So that avoids the impulsive, hey, I did really well for a couple of weeks and I was trading 2 contracts, so I might as well go to 10 because, that's going to be 5 times better. Well, that's not the way it works. You could end up having your first losing day when you all of a sudden jump that number of contracts. So you can see that the number of contracts is actually growing steadily, but it's doing so in relationship to whatever percentage of your total account balance you are willing to allocate to contracts. Once we get to 10 contracts, it never increases beyond 10 because you've put a limiter on the number of contracts that you would trade, and you can see in this column L, percent actual, you can see a decreasing percentage of your total account balance that's actually allocated to contracts. So when you get to 10 contracts, you can see that it starts decreasing. We're down to 5% of the total account balance, and I'm still trading 10 contracts. You go out a year following this approach, this forecast, you actually get down to only 3% of your total account balance being allocated to contracts. So it becomes a progressively conservative approach. And even if you were to put in, like I did before, 25%, it still is going to be a progressively decreasing percentage of your total account balance that will be allocated to those contracts. So let's put that back to 10. And so that's limiting the total number of contracts, and that's a variable that you can change. Some people may be more aggressive and say, listen, as I'm growing, as long as I'm only allocating 10% of my account balance, I don't mind trading up to 30 contracts. Well, that's up to you. Every single time you put in and change a variable, the number in the upper left-hand corner here in cell B4 is changing. That is your 12-month forecast of profits based on the variables that you enter here. So right now it's showing 316,400. That's based on starting with $5,000. That's based on 10% allocated to contracts. It's based on $500 margin per contract, and it's based on capping out my trades at 30 contracts. All right, so let's put that back to 10 for right now. And you can see that our 12-month forecast went back down to 165,300. All right, so these two numbers are very important. Now, let me skip those just for a minute and just touch on this for a minute. $20 per point. This trading plan tool is designed to be used for NQ trading, NQ futures, ES trading, or any other type of future that you may choose to trade. NQ has a tick value that is 5 points a tick, so there's 4 ticks in a point, and so it's $20 per point. So each point of profit or loss equates to $20. ES, each point of profit or loss equates to $50. So if I was going to primarily be trading ES, I'd be putting $50 in here, and I'd be adjusting the number of points, maximum number of contracts, etc. So I'm going to leave that at 20 based on NQ. And I'm going to come back here. These are probably the 2 most critical numbers. The 10 points that you see right here is your best estimate based on your experience, based on following along with trades with Michael and Aaron in the live trading room, based on your confidence level of your own interpretation of entry-exit signals. This is the number of points of profit that you are estimating you can make on a daily basis. So 10 points of profit on a daily basis at $20 per point on NQ would say that you have a goal of making $200. So 10 points of profit, $20 a point, that would give you on your first day $200 of profit because you're trading one contract. This minus 15 number is what we call a reality check. You're not going to have winning days every day. If your goal is 10 points a day, you're going to have some days that you make more than that. You're going to have some days that you make less than that. And then you're going to have some losing days. So to create what we consider to be a realistic forecast for your trading business, because in every business that's doing financial forecasts, you're factoring in everything that you know, and you're factoring in an experience rate, what I used to refer to as a run rate in the divisions that I ran at a Fortune 500 company. So your run rate, that's an experience rate, tells you that I'm going to have losses about this frequency, and they're going to average about this. And some of this is going to require you to gain a bit more experience rate. And we'll show you how you can see what's going on. But the minus 15 is making an assumption that once a week, one day a week, you're going to have a losing day. One day a week, that losing day is going to be on an average 15 points. And the losing days start in the second week. So you might not have a losing day in a particular week, or you might have 2 losing days in a particular week. The point is they're factored in. They're factored into your forecast. And so what you're going to be able to do is look at your forecast when you have a losing day. You can plug in your actual numbers, and you're going to see how that affects your 12-month forecast. And if you're, still very, very close to your target, or you're in a range that you're satisfied with, then why would you give it another ounce of energy worrying about it, vacillating about it, beating your fist on the table, cussing at your computer, all the things that traders like to do because they get emotional when something doesn't work out the way they wanted it to. We've factored that in. Now, there might be some days where you have bigger losses than 15 points, just like you're going to have winning days. They're going to be bigger than 10 points or whatever you decide to set. So the idea here is to work with a 12-month forecast. A 12-month forecast at any given time allows you to see, based on what my current run rate is, this is what I anticipate I could possibly make over the course of 12 months. So if I were to close out, if I was just starting, let's say Monday, and I were to close out the day, the way I would properly manage my trading plan is I would override the calculation that is in column E, where it's listing 10 points, because it's reflecting what I decided I wanted as a target, and I would enter what I actually did. So I'm going to go to Monday. I know that the first trade out of the gate on Monday on NQ was 21 points. That was really strong. I think Tuesday was a total of 8.25 points. And today was, I believe, 13.25 points. So those numbers are just kind of making those up so that you can kind of see how this plays out. So now what's happened is we see a new number appear up here. You didn't see that before. And it's giving you a 14.17 average. What that is a calculation of your actual performance year to date. So if we were 3 months out, this would be an average of all 3 months, every trading day for 3 months. Right now, because we've just started with this trading plan, it's an average of the 3 days. But the reason I think that number is really valuable for you is because as part of your financial forecast for your trading business, you're going to be able to constantly compare and contrast what your actual average is compared to your target, what your desired outcome is. So at this point, you know, let's say we were 3 months out and we see that we're actually averaging 14 points a day, and that takes into account all of our winning days and all of our losing days, and our goal is 10 points, well, then I would conclude that I have a very realistic and conservative forecast. And I may still leave my forecast at 10 points, or I may adjust my forecast to be comparable to the average. See, once I've inserted an override of actual points in the points column, the only numbers that are affected by my forecast are future numbers. So if I was to change my forecast to, let's say, 14 points, because that appears to be my current run rate, that appears to be what I am able to earn as a trader, it dramatically changes the number in the upper left-hand corner here as to what my 12-month outcome can be. The idea here is to use a trading plan tool to start building a realistic forecast for yourself. And initially, you're going to have to gain an experience rate. Initially, you're going to have to get some trades behind you, some trading days behind you, and you're going to enter those numbers, those real numbers, in the points column, and you're going to be able to track what your actual average is. You know, like this week, you know, there was a day where we had 21 points, there's a day we had 8.25 points, all right? That's just the nature of trading, and yet we're averaging a little over 14 points. Now, another thing that we want to do is once we have concluded the day and we've entered our points, we also want to enter our profit or loss for the day. And this, in my opinion, is important that you include your commissions. So if your commission, say, is $4 for a futures trade, futures round turn, and you know that you made a gross of $420, it means that you would put in $416 here as your profit. And that is going to start factoring into your full 12-month forecast. So the points are going to tell you what the average is, and the actual profit loss, which includes your commissions. I think it's important that you put a net number in there. Otherwise, you're just ignoring the cost of doing business, and that's not practical. You put a net number in there, and that's going to help you have a much more accurate forecast. The further you get out in your 12-month experience, the more accurate your forecast is going to be. And here's the really cool thing. I was having a conversation with Erin about this, and she was super excited about realizing also that you get out 12 months and you can estimate what your 12-month outcome is, and we see that that's, in this example, that's $337,000. Well, what if you were someone who then wanted to remove $300,000 at the end of 12 months? and you would start over with $37,000. What you do is, to kind of play around with different scenarios, is you then put $37,000 in your starting balance, and everything else is going to calculate for you. And so you can see what your second year potential is, using all the same variables that you used in the first year, or of course you can change those variables. Maybe in the second year, when you're starting with $37,000, you decrease your percent of your balance allocated to contracts to 5%. But you have a full year of experience based on your number of points, both winning and losing points. And remember, this average is going to include all wins and losses. So you can use it as a multi-year forecast to see where you could be in a year, 3 years, 5 years. Again, this is nothing more than a tool. It's a financial tool to say this is what is possible. But the possible comes only from the hard work you invest in learning the strategies, learning the entry-exit approaches, and being disciplined to following a set of rules. If you don't follow the rules, you really aren't going to be successful at all. And you might still end up with a positive outcome, but much less likely than it will be if you not only follow a set of rules, but also have the discipline to follow an emotional set of rules that are really guided for you based on the trading plan that we put together. One last thing here, and then Aaron will walk you through the options forecast, which is very similar. But let's just say hypothetically that you're someone who's starting with a smaller account. I believe everybody should be available, have access to these types of trades. Hold on just a second here. I'm going to wind that back. There we go. All right, so let's just say you want to start with $2,500 in your account. Well, if you're going to allocate 10% of your account to contracts, 10% of $2,500 is only $250. Well, you need a minimum of $500 to open a single contract. So if you put $2,500 in, it's going to zero out all of your contracts. It's like you can't make anything. So there are two ways that you can change that. One is to just very simply increase the percentage. So maybe I go 20% of my account, and there we go. We're back to my initial starting point of one contract. But if down the road I still don't want to allocate more than 10%, but I need a way to get started, there's a contract override feature in this program where if it's calculating for you 0, and you know you need to start with a minimum of 1, or if you get further out in time and it's telling you, well, you should be trading 10 contracts today, and you're just not feeling it, you can insert a lower number in the contract override. And for that particular day, it will override the calculation. So here I would put in 1, and I would keep putting in 1 until I catch up and I'm able to actually see the program catch up. So this requires quite a bit, actually, until I see my account above $5,000, which then by itself is calculating at 10% one contract. So I overrode those contracts. I overrode so that I had a minimum of one contract until the program picks up and then continues to calculate at 10% going forward. But even at a starting balance of $2,500 using a contract override minimum of $500 for one contract, if I'm willing to trade up to 10 contracts, if my target is 10 points a day and I think that I can achieve that, and I'm factoring in 15-point loss 1 day a week, which ends up being an 80-20 win-loss ratio on a daily basis, that's a pretty reasonable 12-month forecast, $140,000. So there is certainly no guarantee whatsoever. I'm going to say this very clearly. There's no guarantee that you're going to achieve a profit equal to the number that appears here. This is a guidance for you. It's similar to the financial forecast that I always had to do in my corporate job, and then you compare forecast to actual. And that's what you're doing on a daily basis by inserting your actual performance numbers. And if your actual performance numbers are pacing ahead of your plan, wow, you got a strong business. You should keep on doing what you're doing. If you feel confident in the signals that you're using to enter and exit trades, you should keep doing what you're doing. If your goal, say, is to make 30 points a day, well, that's a really nice number to look at right there. But if you've never made more than 8 points in a day, that's an unrealistic goal. So this is a process of being self-aware. It's a process of your personal commitment to whether or not you're going to actually invest the time to learn and understand the technical signals, follow along in the live trading room and with our trading community, or go through the training education that we provided. But it's important that you have a realistic forecast based on what you believe you can experience, what you believe you can achieve. My personal belief is 10 points is a realistic number. That doesn't guarantee that's going to happen. For some people, you can knock out 20 points a day or more. For some people, if you did 5 points a day, that's what your experience rate is, and you adjust all of your other factors accordingly. So for now, I'm going to leave this at a default of $5,000 as a starting balance, 10 contracts max, 10 points of profit per day, 15 points of loss 1 day per week, and using 10% of our account balance. So Aaron, do you want to talk a little bit about the options forecast?
Actually, one more item on the futures is if you are not trading on a specific day.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. You would just select the day that you're not trading, the 10 points for that day, and click delete.
Yeah, you would
so
just
if you want to show an example.
Yeah, don't put 0.
0 is if you honestly have 0 points for that day.
But if you're not trading.
Correct.
Right.
If you're not trading, you would just hit delete, and that way your average will still be accurate based on the days that you're trading.
Right. So that way this average right here is based on your live trading days and is not taking into account a day that you didn't trade.
Because if you put 0 there, instead of deleting it out, if you just want to put 0, you'll see that it will affect your average.
Taking into account the 0 as an average. Okay.
Okay, so options. The options tab, about 90% of this is identical to what Mark talked about on the futures part. The difference is we don't trade in points with options. We're looking for percent returns, and we're looking for dollar profit loss amounts. So in D4, where it says 10,000 max, that's your capital commitment, the maximum amount of capital commitment you ever want to have out there. It's similar to on the futures page, the max amount of contracts you ever want to trade. We can't do contract specific on options because it really is determined by the price of the option itself. We all have seen that SPX trades for the Profit Optimizer Room have traded anywhere between about $1.50 to closer to $20 for the same day or next day expirations. So that's why we wanted to use a dollar amount instead. So we're using dollar amounts for your capital commitment as well, and that will help you choose your contracts for each trade. The 5,000 is the same in cell H4. 5,000 is the same exact as it is on the futures contract page, where it's your starting balance amount. The 30% in cell K4 is how much of your starting balance you want to use as capital commitment for the trade or trades that you are going to place during each week. For options, we've broken it down into weeks instead of days. So you can see for week 1, it's a $1,500 capital commitment for that week based on a 30% balance of your $5,000 starting balance. And that will increase each day or each week as you accumulate more profits. So the next week has 1545, assuming that you have a 10% return that week. And so instead of points of what you're looking for in your column E, you're looking for percentage return. We talk about this a lot in the live trading room when we're deciding what action to take on our positions. We look at our percent return. Generally, especially in Profit Builder, which is a program that I teach, is a 10% return is a generally great return that we look for. So that's what I have in there as the default, is a 10% return with one losing week every 5 weeks. And so you would go through at the end of each week in column E and type your actual percent return, and in column F, type your actual profit loss for that week. Again, as Mark suggests, removing, taking commissions and fees out of that profit. And then closed trades, you can mark the amount of trades that you have closed that week, and then funds plus or minus, if you're looking to add or remove funds that week, that's where you would add it as well. And then similar to the futures trade, as you start to type in your percent return, there will be a number that pops up in that G4 cell that lets you know what your average return is per week. Ooh. There we go.
So that's going to show you what your weekly average is, actual, as you start to gain your own experience rate.
And then that can help you forecast. If you wanted to change then the 10% forecast, you could put the 12 in there. So exactly as we showed you on the futures tab. This is essentially the same exact calculations, just created for the options side of trading. Anything
Right.
you believe I missed there?
No, thank you, Erin.
You're welcome.
Let me jump back to the futures and touch on these 3 fields over here that we didn't talk about. So I like to keep track of the total number of trades. You know, if at the end of the day I've made my goal and it took me 2 trades to do so, then I want to put that in here, because out in the future I want to be able to look back and see, well, how many average trades per day am I really trading? And then for me personally, I like to know when I'm done. I have a passion for being done trading by 11:30 Eastern time, 2 hours after the market opens. So I want to keep track of that, because there are some days where, like on Monday, we were in and out of a trade for 21 points and we were done in the first few minutes of the market. There's no reason, in my opinion, for me personally to trade after that based on the way I built my personal trading plan. So, you know, one day I might be done at 9:45. On another day, I might continue to trade. It's been a more challenging day. I've got more trades. I'm a little behind where I'd like to be, and I still feel confident taking additional trades. So I might trade until 2 o'clock. But basically, I want to know when I look back, well, when am I most likely done trading? This also helps me not only plan my financial forecast, what I can actually have available, it helps me see when I could plan my time and how much time do I need to allocate to my business in order for it to be successful. And then this is an important column too, because periodically you may decide to add funds. You know, let's say you're somebody who starts with a really small account. You've got other money to work with, but you start with a small account. And maybe you start with $1,500 in your account. And you have a couple of losing days. And so you add maybe another $500 to your account. So you can add money to the account. But this is mostly designed for you to periodically celebrate your wins and pull money out and go enjoy doing something that you love to do. Trading should not be an endeavor where you're just constantly trading and all you ever do is to churn your account. You never really know whether or not you're making progress. It's like treading water versus swimming. Are you going to tread water? You come in every day and you look at each day as an independent silo from the day before and the next day. And yeah, I did okay today. And the next day you say, oh, I didn't do very good today. What we want is to shift that mindset, that emotional roller coaster mindset, into a thought process of, in the big picture, my run rate is guiding me to $165,300. So I'm done for the day. And at some point, I'm going to take some of that money out and I'm going to go enjoy it. I'm going to go enjoy myself. And one of the best times to take money out, in my opinion, is when you hit that contract max. When you hit the contract max, where maybe you set it at 10, and you can take money out and it'll still default to 10 contracts, the money that you have sitting in there, if you are still trading 10 contracts, is excess funds. Take those out, move them someplace else, go enjoy yourself, do something, reward yourself for all the hard work that you've put in participating in a community of traders and really immersing yourself and learning how to be successful with your trading business. So whatever it is that you choose to do and whenever you choose to do it, when you put a number in there, it's going to deduct from your balance, and all the other factors are going to then kick in and adjust if it will adjust the number of contracts, and that's fine because that's what you've decided to do. You've decided to take some money out of the account. Aaron, Michael, anything else that you can see in here that I might have missed?
Just one minor thing at the very top where it says your trading or trading plan 4.
Yes, right here. I think you ought to personalize this, folks. This is the trading plan for you, whoever you are. Put your name in. This is trading plan for Aaron. Put your name in. So every day when you look at it, and you ought to have it open all day long when you're trading, you know it's your personal trading plan. This is not a trading plan that we are designing for you. It's not a trading plan that is based on, well, Aaron calls out these signals in the live trading room, Michael calls out these signals in the live trading room, which one am I tracking? No, that's entirely up to you. That's an entirely separate decision that you have to make. You need to make 2 very, very basic decisions. What method are you going to use to enter and exit trades? What method are you going to use to enter and exit trades? And the second decision is, what is my goal for my trading business? This trading plan is designed to help you achieve the goal that you have for your business. It will not automatically earn you money. Just because you have built your trading plan doesn't mean that you're going to have profits at the end of the year. You build your trading plan so that you know the answers to a few questions, such as, when is enough enough? Well, if you feel really bad because you took 10 points on a trade right out of the gate at the beginning of the day, and that trade ran 40 points, and you're just kicking yourself and you're complaining because, oh my God, I could have had 40 points, stop it. When is enough enough? Well, your trading plan is telling you that based on your personal goal of 10 points that you achieved your goal that day. Your goal is not to take every single point of profit that was available. Your goal is to achieve a consistent level of performance based on a goal, an objective that you have for 12 months. So when is enough enough? Another thing is, as I've mentioned, the emotional roller coaster. Should I keep trading today? You know, I had 2 losing trades back to back. Should I keep trading? Well, what I would do is I'd come to my spreadsheet and I'd plug in what my current loss is for the day, and maybe it's only 10:30 in the morning. I'd plug in my current loss for the day. I'd see where that puts me on my 12-month forecast, and I'd make a decision. Am I still okay with that? Should I just kind of let it go? Is this the first losing day I've had in a while? Am I not really averaging one losing day a week? You've got to look at that. And you make a decision. Well, you know what? Where I'm at in terms of the loss, I'm still very comfortable with my 12-month forecast. So I'm going to go ahead and keep trading. So instead of it being an emotional thing like, well, geez, I had two really bad trades, so I quit trading, there's no context in making that decision. There's no context relative to a purpose in making that decision. It's purely an emotional fear and avoidance level decision. And you want to not make those types of decisions when you're trading. So those are a couple of really key questions that the trading plan, if you use it as your roadmap on a daily basis, will help guide you through. It doesn't have to be emotional. It's very matter of fact. Follow the rules in trading, whatever strategy you're using. We use both the Able trend with the tick chart approach, and we use what we refer to as the AO consensus of signals approach. Whichever one you use, you've got to be a rule follower on those strategies. You've got to be a rule follower to be successful, but you also get to use a trading plan to help yourself decide where you are at any given point in time relative to your overall forecast.
And Mark's right. I mean, we can't emphasize this enough. This should be open while you're trading during the day, and inserting your points, your profits, where you stand for the day as the day goes on, because that is going to help you mentally come to a decision of whether you want to stop trading for the day or whether you want to continue trading for the day, when you can see that forecast out in time of whether you're still on track for your goal. Because remember, losing days will happen, and that's why we have them pre-factored in to this 12-month forecast. But we all know that when you're trading and you are having a losing day, it's an emotional hurdle. It's a mental hurdle to get over. This helps with this. This helps with that mental state, because it tells you whether or not you're still on forecast for a 12-month goal that is desirable to you.
Exactly.
Mark, let's have some fun just for a minute. So,
Hey,
just for a minute. So, I'm mentoring a couple of folks, but I'm mentoring a gentleman, and so we're doing it live this week. I started this week punching his numbers in. So, I want to show you what we're looking at, and it's the same thing, but we look a little bit shorter out. So, across the top, you've got 10, and make that 20 point per day.
20 points. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then everything else looks the same to me. The cash balance that he started with is 4550.
Okay.
4550. Okay.
Perfect.
And we're doing 11%, because the reason I changed 11, that gives me contracts. So doing the override, I just rather do it that way. What's 1%?
That's a good variance right there, Michael. Thank you.
Okay. So on Monday, we actually made 21 points. That's what we made.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll leave commissions out for right now. They're nothing,
Yep.
so let's leave that out. And then on Tuesday, we made 8 points.
Okay.
Now, when we made 8 points, he asked me, he says, that's disappointing. And I said, well, I don't know, is it? I said, so, I mean, you tell me if it's disappointing. So I said, basically, we started out with $4,550. So let's just say that we finished doing 20 points every day until August. Until the end of August. That puts
20 points every day, but
plus
15-point loss.
That's right.
Once a week. So
let's just say that we go to the end of August and say, okay, we're at the end of August, see where we're at. If we stayed on track, we'd be at 28,000. Is that right?
28,100.
So in my book, 4,500 times 7 or 8, whatever that's 8, sorry, 7. That's 7 times your money, just about, maybe 6, right? I don't know exactly the number on that, but we can figure that out. That's what we look at.
Big.
So go back up there. So today we made 10 3/4 points today. And I said, so I told him, I just call him Mr. X. So Mr. X, I said, so now are you mad because you made 8 yesterday now look at your total that we looked at yesterday for the end of August. I mean, it's what is it now? I don't know what it is. You had to pull it up and say, I can't see it.
End of August,
Well, yeah, we're at
20,
20, yeah,
almost,
25, yeah, 25.
almost 28,000.
Yeah, almost 28,000. So if we start with 4,500, so if we stay on that same, on the same profit ratio, we're averaging about, so far this week it's 13.25 points a day. I think the average is, Mark. It should tell you at the top, right?
13.25. That's
Yeah,
the first 3 days of your
So,
Mr. X.
but then look to the left over there, and I know it sounds crazy, but look at the $592,000. If we stayed on this forecast, now we know that might not happen, but let's say if it did, that gives me peace of mind. That keeps me up at night thinking, golly, if I could just some way, somehow, which I think I can, is make 15 to 20 points a day. I mean, that's phenomenal. But I don't look 12 months out. I look for the next month, because if I went off the street and said, hey, give me 4,500, I'm gonna give you 28,000 back in 5 weeks or 6, people say, well, I'd probably take that deal, and I know I would too. So I don't want to get so hyper focused on looking at 12 months. We're looking at a month at a time. Okay, I think that's realistic. So I mean, it's a big deal, and this is live. I'm telling you, it's live as it gets, and he follows right along with me, and so.
Well, and Michael, the reality is, in you and your family owned businesses, you know this. In my corporate job, we were doing 12-month forecasts,
right.
But we were very focused on performance every 30 days.
That's right.
Against our forecast. And if there was a need to adjust the forecast, we would do so that we could actually have a better idea of where we were going to end up in 12 months.
That's exactly
what you're talking about is exactly that. Let's look at it, 30 days out and see how we're doing and compare that to our forecast.
That's right. And then you're better explaining this than me, but let's just say Mr. X asks, well, I'm uncomfortable with 2 contracts when we get down to the end of July. Why would you be uncomfortable? Because our balance is going to be there. If it's not there, the program's going to tell us to stay with 1 contract. So if we stayed on track, we'll be trading 11% of our balance. Is all the same.
And if you ever were uncomfortable with that, based on the day or for whatever reason, you override it. You just put a 1 in that day, and it overrides just that single day. That's right. Like if you have a Fed day you're not real comfortable with, it's choppy market, whatever happens, So, I mean, I think it's a great tool, because I know some days, and last week we give back a couple of days, and we talked about it, but I said, just wait till next week. We'll get the trading plan, and we can look at that and say, okay, we lost a day or 2 days, but look at what our forecast, if we get back on track, because we won't lose every day. I mean, if we do, we need to do something else, but we won't lose every day. We'll start making profits back. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, like being in business, we had a business. If we had a blowed out tire, that cost us that day, and we didn't close our business down because we had an expense. So that's the way I look at it. So absolutely.
Bottom line is, me and Mr. X has a goal to get to the end of August, at least double our money, and that's impressive. I mean, we might not do that, but we got a heck of a start on it right now. I'll tell you that. So
I think he's going to be pretty happy if
I think so too.
If that happens, and he'll be singing your praises for that.
I think so.
Okay.
So that's the only comment I've had about that. And Mark, if you're trading the ES and NQ both, I guess you'd have to use 2 different sheets, right? I mean, that's...
Yeah, my suggestion is you use 2 different sheets. 2 different sheets. That's what I would do.
Yes.
And yes, 2 different sheets. That's the easiest way to do it. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so just before we take some other questions here, let me finish this out. We make a lot of tools available at no cost, because we really are committed to helping everybody achieve their goals. This tool, we invested a considerable amount of time and development into, and so we're making it available. But before we talk about that, I just want to give you this thought. Everybody's probably familiar with the Lewis Carroll quote from Alice in Wonderland. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. What we want you to do is to decide where you're going. Where do you desire to be at the end of 12 months in terms of your financial performance from your trading business? There's far too many traders who trade for a couple of months and then they get tired because they had a few losing days, and they're not really connected to a full 12-month outcome. So they kind of abandon it and they don't want to do it anymore because they're not really seeing the big picture. They don't have a plan. So those folks, any road will get you to where you don't know you want to go. So what I want to offer is an opportunity for you to create your own personal trading plan. And I guarantee you we will be talking about the trading plan, referring to the trading plan every single day in our live trading room. We'll be talking to you about, plugging in your numbers in your trading plan if you're having a challenging day, and just see where that outcome is after 12 months. So you can create your own personal trading plan using the tool that we've created here. You can download it now for just $197. Now, I think that that's a bargain. I think that that's a bargain because we've invested a considerable amount of time and effort in creating this. So, Aaron, Michael, any questions out there that I can answer?
Joshua is asking if we see any issues utilizing both strategies of AO and AbleTrend to use for the trading plan. And Joshua, if AO has a signal and you already took profit and then AbleTrend gives another signal, I don't think there's anything wrong with trading both of those to use it almost as a re-entry and vice versa. But you should always do what is best for your trading plan, what your profit goal and what you're looking for, and really what strategy you're most comfortable trading. David has just a comment and says, please share this with the audience because it could
Hey, Aaron,
be. Yes?
I'm going to interrupt you here just for a minute.
Okay.
I want to do something right now. For those of you that are here or listening on the recording, I want to do this right now in real time. I think that this is such an important program for everybody to make use of. I'm going to cross out that $197 and I'm going to make it $97. If I can input the number correctly. Oh, I don't want all that. Here we go. Just put it at $97. Okay? There we go. So discount of $100. Okay? Right there. Pay only $97. That's a bargain right there. optionsmoneymaker.com/futures. All right, Aaron, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. David was just saying that he was a senior IT programmer for many, many years, and just want to say the spreadsheet is no small accomplishment, to say the least. I know the time, effort, hours, testing, and debugging that went into developing the tool. It's just awesome, as is all the other tools and training your organization offers. It's an awesome team to work with, and after a short time of being with you guys, you are like family. So thank you, David. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that very much, David. We appreciate you being part of our community. Yeah, Michael S. has already seen that we changed the price on the website to $97. So there you go. We originally offered this at $197, but thanks to Aaron, we made a quick change, and it's $97. Gary's asking if that price is for the year or for a month. That is for your cost to download the program, and then you can do whatever you want to with it, Gary. If we have updates in the future, there may be, some other sort of software update, but it's a one-time cost. Hey, Eleanor, I see your question. Why don't you shoot us an email at, where do you want that to go, Aaron?
It can go to me. I'll give her my email.
Okay, perfect.
If you add 1 point per day, you'll have your program paid for in 5 days.
Wow, that's
There
a
you
good
go.
way to look at it, Michael.
Yeah. Or divide it by every how many days, 20 trading days in a month, roughly?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's less than, yeah, well, there you go.
Oh, it's a bargain.
Yeah, it is. All the time we spend on this is, yeah, like David said, the debugging, all the night oil that we burned. So absolutely.
Well, bottom line is there's no business out there that doesn't have some sort of a financial forecasting tool. There's tons of different software packages that are available for small businesses. This is specific to your trading. This is specific to trading NQ or ES or your options trades. This was designed specifically for you folks. This was designed for traders who have a desire to put together their own personal financial forecast. And Michael, you want to have a little fun with this here?
Well, something else, Mark, is you lose focus if you don't keep up with, with this program. So basically you say, okay, and it's going to happen. I had 2 losing days in a row. I lost 10 points today and I lost 15 yesterday. But you still look at your forecast. I mean, that keeps me motivated and keeps me in the game without just going, oh God, I can't believe I lost. Now I got to do all this. You don't have to double up. Just go back, just keep doing what the spreadsheet tells you to do, and you'll get it. You'll get there. You will.
It's your roadmap. It is your daily instruction on what you should do. Today I'm trading 2 contracts, and my goal is to make 20 points or whatever I have inserted in there.
That's right.
When I hit that, then I can keep trading if I choose, but I've hit my goal. And so I now have at least the first part of the answer to the question, when is enough enough? I know I've made enough because that's what I decided was enough prior to trading, and I know what that enough, in this example right here, where we put in 20 points, it's over $500,000. Will you achieve that? I don't know. First 3 days of your Mr. X is at 13 and a quarter. So we have to kind of wait and see, but you'll be able to see what that forecast is as you move forward on your trading journey.
Aaron, Mike's asking, will it run on a Mac? But if you had got Parallels, it will, right?
You don't need Parallels.
You don't? Okay.
You can download Excel onto a Mac. I believe Mark's running it on a Mac right now.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
That's true, Josh. See, Joshua, that's a great point. I also encourage myself by asking, if I made half of my forecast, would it be better than my job? Be better than what my job paid me? Absolutely. That's the way I look at it. I do. I really do.
I love the way you think, Josh. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Thanks, Aaron, for that. All right, Mark, you go ahead. You said you was going to play, so go ahead. I'm be quiet.
Oh, I'm just saying, folks, you can set this at 10. You can play around with it, right? And you can change your maximum contracts because it's all based on a percentage to 30 contracts. I'm going to take this back down to 10, Michael. I'm going to take this back up to 5,000. And you can see how the numbers change. You can play around with it. What if you're somebody who is interested in trading 25% of your account balance because it's relative to your total amount of cash assets, and you've got a fraction of that in your trading account? Maybe you're willing to put on 25% of your account balance, and then maybe you do achieve 20 points and maximum of 30 contracts. Or now you make it more conservative by reducing the number of contracts. The thing is, it can be very, very personal. I was talking to somebody a couple days ago who was evaluating this and doing some final evaluation and testing to make sure we had everything in place. And she was talking to her husband about using this as a guide to actually achieve their goals of paying off their house and buying a different home and doing several of the things that they really desire to do, because you can play around with the numbers, plugging them in, and as long as it has a realistic relationship to what you feel you can achieve, what we're achieving in our trading community in the live trading room, then this is really nothing more than just a mathematical roadmap for you to follow and plug in your numbers every day.
Just a couple questions that I have to answer for those that are looking for a little bit technical support with this. Peter's asking, do you know if it will run on Excel 2010? I don't know. It does run on Excel 2011. I know that for a fact, but the cell G4,
Right here,
where it's giving you your average, will not work. It'll continue to be a blank cell because the formula that is being used to calculate that didn't come around until Excel 2013. But the other basics of it, I know works on 2011. I don't know if there was major changes between 2010 and 2011, but everything else works on Excel 2011, so I would imagine the majority of it would work on 2010. And then Mike's asking, if we do use more than one sheet for other futures, does that require additional downloads? It does not. You can copy and make a duplicate of the tab of the sheet. So if you selected that futures contract progression at the bottom, you can right-click it, and it will allow you to move or copy. You can create a copy of it, and that's what you can use for your other future symbol. So that way it can all still be on the same spreadsheet.
All right, we're going to wrap up, folks. I really appreciate your attention to this, and I sincerely believe with strong, passionate conviction that this is the missing link for many of you. Many of you who are just trading randomly every day, coming in, hoping that you're going to do okay, but no real point of reference to what okay is and all the decisions that you make throughout the day. You need a tool like this. Every small business needs some sort of a financial forecasting tool. You have a small business. It's an independently owned small business when you are an active trader. This is the type of tool you need. It's $97. That price won't last forever. It's normally going to be $197, which is a huge value at $197. So I'd take full advantage of it right now until that price lasts.
If I can just say one more thing. James, you're not able to change the contract number in the D column. You'll have to use the contract override, or as Mark illustrated earlier, you can always use the % of balance to change the calculated contract amount. So contract override is in that J column. That's where you would override the amount of contracts you want to use, or you can change the % of your balance to choose the amount of contracts.
Mark P., this is definitely a tool that will affect every decision you made regarding trading, when to stop trading and when to continue trading. It influences us, and we designed it for ourselves, and we thought, me in particular, thought it was so powerful that we should make it available to every serious trader out there. Thank you, David. Appreciate you being part of our trading family. All right, if you have any questions about the worksheet once you've downloaded it, you can email us at support There's also, as I mentioned, a tab that shows description for futures and description of the fields on the options tab. So thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it. Again, the place to download for just $97 is optionsmoneymaker.com/futures. Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Aaron.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
Thank you,
Cool.
Mark.